Our long, glorious nightmare is almost over. And by that I mean the 42nd general election campaign in Canada. This is one of the longest election campaigns in history, the longest in my lifetime, but it is almost time to vote. And if you're on the road like I am, you still can vote. Just because you're not in Canada doesn't mean you can't vote. So today, I'm going to talk to you about how you can vote if you're a Canadian who is on the road, or maybe you're an expat living abroad. How do you get that ballot cast? Here's how you do it. To begin with, let's get something completely out of the way, because there's been a lot of misconceptions over the last little while about this thing called the 5-year rule. Now, what happened is that for the longest time, if you lived outside Canada, but you kept on coming back to Canada within a 5-year window, it hit the reset button on your eligibility to vote. Recently, an Ontario Supreme Court overturned that, and now that means if you've lived outside of Canada for 5 years or more, you can't vote in this federal election. There are some exceptions to the rule, though. If you're a member of the Canadian Forces, if you're a spouse of somebody in the Canadian Forces, if you work for the government abroad, if you work for an organization like the United Nations, there's a whole classification of people who are exempt to the 5-year rule. But for the most part, if you're a Canuck who is working in some sort of private business abroad, sorry, you're out of luck if you've been out of the country for more than 5 years, which really sucks. Because by virtue of having this little passport, this guy right here, you'd think you'd be able to vote. You're still a citizen of the country. You haven't given this thing up. But until the laws change, this doesn't mean a hill of beans when it comes to voting if you've been out of the country for more than 5 years. But let's say you are eligible to vote. Then you absolutely positively should. So here's how we do it. Go to elections.ca. There you're going to find information and an application form for what's called a special mail-in ballot. You fill out all that information, and then you can either take that information and go to the Canadian Embassy or Consulate where you live, or you can also mail it in, or you can send it in digitally. Whichever way, make sure you get your application in soon. There is a deadline. Then Elections Canada will mail you a package, and inside will be a special ballot. And guess what? Mine arrived just the other day. So like I mentioned, the mailman came and brought a very special package all the way from Canada. Elections Canada has couriered me a special voting kit. And so we're going to open it together. This is still sealed. I have not opened this thing yet. So let's take a look and open it together. Okay, so inside the package. So we have the special ballot. Let me show it to the GoPro so you can see. This is the special ballot. And if you notice, it is a write-in ballot. So on the ballot, you actually have to put the name of the person that you are voting for. And to find those names, you go to elections.ca and you click on the postal code finder. Type in your postal code, or the postal code where you're living, or where you're voting for, rather. And then what will happen is that you'll see a list of registered candidates, and it's from that list of candidates that you need to write your name, or write their name rather, on the ballot. You don't write the party, you don't write the federal leader, you write the name of the candidate that you are voting for. And if you look on the back side, it is official ballot paper. So you have the ballot, and then you have the inner envelope. So what happens is this ballot goes inside this envelope, and you seal the envelope, and you place it then inside this outer envelope. And if you notice, my name is on the envelope. I'll show it to the GoPro here. My name is on the envelope along with a barcode and the constituency that I voted for. So what happens is when they open the outer envelope, they know that I'm voting in Yorkton Melville, which is the riding that I live in back in Canada. So they'll go and take the inner envelope out and throw it in the Yorkton Melville pile. They don't know who actually is voting at this point, because this envelope gets thrown away and all that's left is the secret ballot. Finally, a third envelope, because we love paper in Canada. This is going to send it back to Elections Canada in Ottawa. So ballot goes inside the inner envelope, goes inside the outer envelope, so they know where I'm voting for, which goes inside the big envelope, and then it's all going to get sent back to Canada. All right, it's time for me to cast my ballot, and because of secrecy, that means we're going to say au revoir for a little while. And just like that, that's how easy it is to vote in this election. And by all means, do so. You're taking advantage of this thing to travel the world or live abroad, and so you absolutely should make a decision on who's running your country. It's the right thing to do. For more on the election and more on how to vote, go to elections.ca. And for more on me and the things that I'm doing, go to my website, gonejohn.com, and we'll talk to you soon.